Conclusions. This is what everybody gets wrong. Well, not like everyone, but like almost everyone. You know what I mean. Let's get an A in TOK.
Get an A in TOK.
Hey guys, I'm back again with this requested video. A lot of you guys have been asking how to do this. I've been telling a lot of you guys, your ones you send me on Fiverr aren't good. I've got a whole bunch of examples here, 4 different types, 6 different examples of conclusions that you can write for the May 2025 conclusion, TOK essay conclusions. What you want to do first, if you haven't seen my other videos, and I don't know why you'd be watching this one if you hadn't seen my other videos, but you want to pause this video, go down to the description and download these notes that I've got there. I get these all the way for free. Look at this. This thing's like 11 pages long. It's nuts. And so, yeah, if you want to, there's a link here so you can go get in touch with me on my YouTube channel. You can on my YouTube channel. You can click here to send me your essay, and I will help you out with your essay. You can send me. I'll make a video for you. I got a whole bunch of things here, starting at really cheap. So you can send me that. Get it at antok.com/free stuff. I'll give you outlines and more of this, and yeah, make sure you go to my website here and you can see guides for all of the different videos that I've done. This is really where you want to start. This video that you're doing now, honestly, this is where you want to end. Do not start your conclusion until the very end. And that's going to take me to my thoughts on the conclusion. Okay, so this is very, very important. The first thing is you want to make it count. 1,600 words, I know it feels like a lot. That's nothing. I could write 10,000 words on some of these topics, okay? So is for a essay with this title is incredibly short. It is essential to make each word count towards something on the rubric, okay? You should always be accomplishing something that scores on the rubric. Repeating does not score. A conclusion that doesn't help you analyze, evaluate, or demonstrate critical thinking is a waste of words. Every single time, no matter what your teacher says. Summary and recap will not lower your grade, but it won't raise it. So if you give the worst conclusion ever, you can still score well, but it's not going to raise your grade. So essentially what you're doing is writing a 1,500 word essay or a 1,400 word essay and just skip throwing out those last 200 words. Okay. Next thing, because I have so many different examples here, not every conclusion approach, and I've got 4 in this video, below works for every title. And they may not work for what you learn in your research. Don't pick your favorite approach. Let me change that. Favorite approach below. Pick the one that is the most effective for your title. I'm glad I published this after I recorded the video. Okay, what matters most? This is the most important thing. Overall, you want your conclusion to leave the examiner with an insight or takeaway that you learned as a result of your research. This is a real conclusion. I learned this, and I learned this. Therefore, I conclude this. The example that I always use, I'm sorry if you like Taco Bell, I hate Taco Bell. So if I went to Taco Bell on Monday and got sick, I went to Taco Bell on Tuesday and got sick, I went to Taco Bell on Wednesday and got sick, I would conclude that Taco Bell has terrible ingredients. I would conclude that Taco Bell is bad for you. I wouldn't just conclude Taco Bell made me sick on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's a summary. That's repeating the information that's already happened. A conclusion is going to say, based on what I've learned, I conclude that Taco Bell is the worst place to eat. No one told me that, but the things that I experienced are what helped me come to that conclusion. And that's what matters most. Now, what to avoid? I don't know where this comes from, guys, but there's so many phrases like nuanced approach or do something with a balanced perspective or some other IB buzzwords. These are so common. I'm sure that one of the other crappy YouTube channels on here, or what is that, Classify? Yeah, that place is Assify. It's really bad. Sorry. It's like people send me their essay after sending all this money to some of these places because they're so bad. So avoid phrases that just say, hey, look at me, I liked IB. No, it's a waste. So it also is telling your examiner, hey, I'm trying to score well by not being smart. So just avoid that. I'm going to give you another example of that later on. All right, finally, this is really important for every TOK essay title. Most TOK essay titles from any year can be answered with a maybe, a sometimes, or a yes and no, because they're using words like always. It's obvious. Instead of giving a middle of the road answer like a maybe, sometimes, or yes and no, take a stand and choose a side. Then tell your reader why you took that side. So overall, I believe that this part is true. And here's why I believe this part is true. Okay, so those are my overall guidelines that I wrote after writing all of these sample conclusions. I mean, look at all these right here. There's so many different things. So before we get started, just real quickly, want to reiterate, you can send me your essay by clicking the link right here. I will help you out. We can Zoom. We can, I'll record a video for you. How do I get this? What's going on? Oh no, okay, I'm gonna cut that out of the video. Okay, so option number one, I'm gonna change this to approach. Number one is evaluate your argument. So use this option to make it clear which side of the title you were on, just like I was saying earlier. This is good because it stands out by not being in the middle. I agree with this title, but not always. To use this conclusion first, and honestly, I do this in all of the examples, state your position towards the title. So after discussing both sides of the argument, it is clear that our most revered knowledge is more fragile than we assume it to be. I think you can start off every conclusion with that because that gives the answer. Then you have room for analysis or development. And it also says, here's my conclusion without saying, to conclude, comma. So then, after making this statement, which should agree with your thesis or disagree with your thesis, let's go disagree with your thesis. I'm sorry. Now I see. The statement should agree. You should say it first, and then you're going to say it again. Give the reasons why you believe by evaluating, not summarizing your evidence. Tell the reader why the evidence on one side is stronger than the other side. So I've brought up all this evidence. Now here's which ones guided me to agree with them and why those ideas were stronger than the others. Don't summarize. Also, don't summarize. Do you see a theme here? Okay, so here's an example for title number 2. And this is going to be the evaluation of the arguments. Is our most revered knowledge more fragile than we assume it to be? Discussed with reference to the arts and one other area of knowledge. And I have 2 examples for this. Okay, so I'm making this up, but here we go. After discussing both sides of the argument, it is clear that our most revered knowledge is more fragile than we assume it to be. Here's my perspective. Now I'm going to say what helped me come to this conclusion. Though some might say that certain kinds of knowledge, such as empirical and experiential knowledge, is not fragile, certain kinds of knowledge are not fragile. Oops. The discussed evidence has shown that even the strongest held beliefs lack complete certainty that is often assumed. For example, experiential knowledge can often be at the mercy of memory or interpretation. And empirical evidence may also be fragile because of the necessity for experts to be involved in the interpreting process. So what I would have said here in my main points, and check out my other videos that explain some ideas, some evidence, and some examples. But I'm saying that we might believe that some of our most revered knowledge when we experience it is true. But if it has to be interpreted, or if we're relying on memory, is it that solid? Instead of believing that revered knowledge can and will hold up to intense scrutiny, it has been demonstrated that there is a stronger case to be made by acknowledging that all knowledge, regardless of the way that it is justified, has some kind of hole in it. So I'm telling you why one side is wrong. That's evaluation. By understanding that even the most revered knowledge may have some hole in it, we can approach all knowledge with a healthy skepticism. With regards to the title, that means that we can both understand the implications of the knowledge while identifying and evaluating the holes that make it appear or truly be fragile. So here I'm saying, here's why I answered it this way. And I'm referring to, without summarizing, the points that I brought up before. I did not say, here's the examples. I just said, some of my examples were this kind of knowledge. Let's look at another one. Do historians and human scientists have an ethical obligation to follow the directive, do not ignore contradictory evidence? I really like this conclusion that I came up with. Though evidence can be seen to demonstrate both sides of the title, it is clear that historians and human scientists do not, so I have the answer right there, have an ethical obligation to not ignore contradictory evidence. Though some might say that the need to appear impartial means that these experts must acknowledge and study all contradictory evidence, and notice I put the word all there, the sheer vastness of potential outliers makes this an impossible task. The magnitude of the proposed directive would cause researchers to spend all their time in defense of a single theory or discovery rather than doing what they should be doing, creating new knowledge. While impartiality is a virtuous goal and should always be strived for, the impossibility of a completely impartial interpretation means that this cannot always be accomplished. In a perfect world, all evidence would be seen as is. Instead, humans must interpret all the data. Because of this interpretation problem and the vastness of potential contradictory evidence, it can be understood that this directive is, while important, not an ethical obligation. I really like this, so I'm bringing up, after everything I've learned, here is the one thing, and it could be different for different kinds of people, here's the one thing that really convinced me that it is true, or in this case, that I disagree with the title. Okay, now we're going to go to approach. I've used different words. Approach number 2, the personal approach. This kind of goes against some things that I say quite often, but I really like this one and it can be effective. Though top scores rarely write in the first person, I encourage you to do so in the introduction and conclusion if you engage in the personal approaches in these paragraphs. Don't use the first person if you're writing a very academic essay, but this doesn't have to be academic. And in fact, you can use your own personal examples as evidence. Only do it once, but you can totally do that. There are many ways that you can engage upon this approach, and it may be similar to option 3, application and lesson. Approach. I like that word better. What you want to do here is think about a way that the knowledge you have gained in your research has helped you grow as a person. Now we're going to have a caveat here. You want to just hold up. Changing your thinking or something like these. Please note, here is what you don't want to do. I read this like 3 times a week, okay? Send me your essay, I'll help you out. But if you give me a paragraph like this, I'm just going to be like, bro, watch my video. Okay, in conclusion, models are all wrong, but I'm doing this one right here. Where is it? I'm skipping ahead. To what extent do you agree with the claim all models are wrong, but some are useful? Spoiler alert, I completely agree with it. Okay, in conclusion, models are all wrong, but they are almost always useful. Nope, this is the wrong. Yeah. By understanding this, get ready, this is so bad, we can become effective knowers who utilize the shared knowledge of the world together. Rather than be focused on our own problems, we want to be risk takers and global citizens that evaluate all perspectives in an empathetic and, oh my gosh, this is so bad, equitable way. When I use a model, I want to make sure that I am able to change the world and invest in underserved populations. I'm not kidding. I see this all the time. To make sure that my dream comes true, I know that critical thinking skills, such as the ones taught in TOK and other IB courses, are the key to bringing a well-educated, lifelong learner, something nuanced approach. Kill me. This is so bad, but I see it all the time. This is not going to help you score better because all of this is fake. We know you're an 18-year-old who hates TOK. This is not going to make us think otherwise, okay? So this did nothing but concept drop things that students think examiners want to read. That's not what we want to read. Instead, let me show you what we want to read. Personal approach. How can we reconcile the relentless drive to pursue knowledge with the finite resources we have available? Okay, I love this one, and this gets really personal. How long is this? This is a pretty long one. By the way, let's see, words, 200. Okay, this is the maximum that I would say you want to do for a conclusion, okay? I say 150 to 250 words for a conclusion. Don't go longer, but really, if you're shooting for an A, I would say at minimum you want 150. Okay. There are many ways in which we can reconcile the drive to pursue knowledge with our limited resources. So remember, this is not a do you agree, do you not. This is a how. So I'm saying there are many ways. As discussed, there are many different kinds of limited resources that can affect knowledge acquisition, whether it is money, time, goodwill, physical space, or manpower. Remember, these are all examples that I put in my breakdown video, links down in the description. And also, you need to make sure that you're downloading this. Just steal it from me, that's fine. There are always going to be limits to what we can explore. Researching for and exploring this title has allowed me, so now we're saying, here's what the essay taught me, to understand that time, rather than money or physical resources, is the most valuable resource that we have. While this is universally understood, I didn't fully grasp this truth until I researched the example about the scientists at Berkeley. I made this up, but you can totally use this. Though they had a huge budget, the pressure to publish at a deadline meant that they didn't have enough time as they wanted. This seems logical, of course, as all scientists need to publish their work. But this affected me on a personal level, as I often complain about deadlines in my academic work. Sound familiar? Understanding that time as a limited resource is universal, is limited for all scientists. I misspelled scientist. Look at me, best teacher ever. It helped me to come to the realization that reconciling the demands of time and knowledge production is something that is a lifelong struggle. I'm not a great scientist, yet I am experiencing the same restraints as some of the best scientists in the world. Okay, so here I'm drawing a connection between myself, an amateur, and an expert. Instead of complaining about what I have to do by a certain date, I should reconcile this demand by acknowledging this universal challenge and remember that it is something that even the best scientists in the world have to reconcile as well. So here is a lesson that all of the research at the top taught me. I really like that. That synthesis. That's taking one thing, I'm taking multiple things and turning it into something new. Okay, method 3, approach number 3 is application or lesson. Every single essay can do this, and this is kind of similar to what I do right here at the bottom, but we may not get as personal with it, okay? Similar to option 2, this option seeks to find an application that may be broader and more universal in scope. With that said, still seek to find tangible and specific ways that this lesson is both true and course changing. While the lesser application doesn't have to be a wild new approach towards living, show the examiner that the time you spent writing was well worth it. Show them that you actually benefited from this awful experience called the IB and TOK. I know you love me, but I know that everyone hates TOK. That's fine. That's why I'm here. That's why people send me their essays. Send me your essay. Okay, so number 5, to what extent do you agree with the claim? I really like this one more and more. All models are wrong, but some are useful. Okay, so we're going to open up by saying, here's what I believe first, because they're asking to what extent I'd agree. I fully agree with Box's statement, though I do acknowledge that he speaks with some hyperbole. So I fully agree is answering the directive to what extent. I am saying I agree to a full extent. Remember, you have to acknowledge what extent is, which extent you agree. I don't agree at all. I agree to some extent. Whatever you want to say there, make that the first sentence there. Because then when you do that, you don't have to say to conclusion. As I have learned when researching for this essay, the purpose of models is not to find or uncover truth. I talked about this in my breakdown video. Instead, it is to help everyone, both experts, novices, and IB students, move closer towards the truth in a quick and efficient way. That's what I'm going to focus on here. The initial shock in Box's quote can easily be grasped by coming to the understanding that no model is trying to be true. And if I'm writing this, I'm probably underlining that just to emphasize that a little bit more. Instead, it is a tool for learning, teaching, and simplifying. Models can help us estimate so that we can move quickly. They can be representative of a larger or smaller thing. And only by understanding that they are wrong can we fully embrace the practicality that they offer. The best way to use a model is when speed is required. If accuracy is more important, then a model may not be the best way to proceed. So here is the lesson. Now, if you wanted to, you could talk, then go into, because this is short. What is this, like 125? It is 165. Yeah, you could then go into a time when you're using a model in one of your classes. That could work in really almost any class uses a model. Okay, Title 6, does acquiring knowledge destroy our sense of wonder? I really like this, and this is going to tell us what to do about this. After conducting the research necessary to explore the title, I can confidently say that it is quite common for wonder to be destroyed when gaining or learning new insights and knowledge. But what I have learned is that this is not necessarily a bad thing. When I first read the title, I assumed that the destruction of wonder was a negative thing. And in other areas of life, I would say destruction is usually bad. But when I look at the examples above, so anything that you've learned from, I have learned that when wonder is destroyed, it can be replaced by many other things. Things like a new sense of wonder, new questions, or even new artwork. So this is referring to, not summarizing, the things that you said in your essay. Wonder being destroyed is a necessary act of the knowledge creation process. When new knowledge is gained, wonder is destroyed because questions are answered. It is what we do with those answers that really matters. I love this. This title can clearly be answered with a yes, but this word isn't the end of what's important. It's actually the beginning. I really like that. So what you can see there is I'm telling you what to do when you answer this title with a yes. You understand, yes, my wonder is destroyed, so what do? I ask more questions. I am thankful that my wonder has been destroyed because now I have answers. Yeah, okay, so now for my new one, approach 4, the comparison. Now, if you've seen my other videos, or you're going to see the ones that I'm already publishing soon, you'll know that 99% of students write 4-body paragraphs. And one of the things I always do, even when I Zoom with people, and we can Zoom, I can Zoom with you. I see you. No, I don't. This is a YouTube video, but I can see you if we Zoom. One of the things I do is encourage people to have more than 4-body paragraphs. Stick in a short comparison. Stick in something just to say, I'm not like all of those noobs doing 4-body paragraphs. A comparison is the way to do that, but everybody ignores me and still does 4 paragraphs. So I am proposing this year, and this is the first year I'm doing this, just for you, just you right there, you, that guy right there. I am proposing that you write a comparison in your conclusion. So comparing anything demonstrates the high level of thinking that TOK examiners are looking for. Though not every title will prompt a conclusion with different answers for each AOK, you can still find something to compare about different points or takeaways. To compare, bring up both points, identify the difference, and tell your reader what we can learn about the difference. So in the evaluation, we are saying here's why one side is more persuasive than the other. Here we're going to say here's what we learned from the difference between the two. Let's look at an example. Do the ever-improving knowledge of an area of knowledge, do the ever-improving tools of an area of knowledge always, remember we got the always there, result in improved knowledge? Though the answer to the title is clearly not always, the frequency to which an improved tool results in improved knowledge ultimately depends on the nature of the tool. And if you saw my breakdown video for this one, I think we talk about many different kinds of tools, but what I started noticing was, well, you'll read it here. Improved physical tools, such as, that's a terrible sentence, such as, stop it. Technology used in natural sciences to learn about the universe or molecular structure will very frequently result in improved knowledge. This is because the difference between the old and the new technology is quite clear. So I'm saying, here's what I learned. New technologies are created only to fix the limitations of the older ones. For this reason, the tools are directly linked to improved knowledge and what kind of knowledge is gained. Now I'm going to compare it to non-tangible tools. Non-tangible tools, however, do not have as clear of a correlation to improved knowledge. Why? Because human interpretation, bias, and levels of expertise are all required to use soft tools in the human sciences. It is not as guaranteed that improved knowledge will occur at the same rate as when compared to the improved physical tools and technology. In comparing these two types of tools and their correlation with improving knowledge, it is possible that physical tools more often lead to improved knowledge because they are more specifically designed and have more limited uses than soft tools. So I am saying a physical tool such as the James Webb Telescope is made for one thing and one thing only, looking out at the stars. They only has one purpose. But a soft tool, like an algorithm, may be used for purposes in which it was not for which it was not created. Ultimately, a tool with one specific purpose may be more correlated with improved knowledge, whereas a tool that has a wide range of uses, features, and possibilities may be correlated less with the level to which it improves knowledge. So here I'm saying here's one feature, here's another feature, here's what I learned about their difference. It's similar to the evaluation, but I think you get what I'm saying there. Tell me what we learned from the difference. Now, if you have already watched this entire video, down here I will give you a 10% discount on my store if you want me to Zoom, make a video for you, read your essay. My plans start really cheap. I can get it to you quickly. If you want to, you can pay just a little bit extra and I'll get it to you in under 24 hours. If you're watching this in January or February, you probably want that, okay? I hope that TOK sucks a little bit less than it did at the beginning of this video. Download my document. Message me on Fiverr. I will see you later. Bye.